you're saying that Garcia you indicate that he led a young person who had worked in your office, participated in leading him down the garden path. And your implication here is, it seems to me that there were, that something unusual accounted for the young Americans, pictures of them reproduced in the days just gone by, exhibiting Dionysic pleasures in their role as deadheads. Exuberance finds its forms throughout the world and concentrates its energies on the young. But is the joy unconfined, ought it to be? And you see him when you write that he had predicted only a week after leaving the Betty Ford Center. He had said 2 years ago that he really needed to do something to restore his health, otherwise he'd be dead like 2 years from now. He went on schedule, you wrote, and is said to have died with a smile on his face, no doubt because he was a happy man, but also because he made so many others happy. But he also killed, if that's the right word for such as our intern, a lot of people. And although he had a pulsating forum worldwide for 30 years and knew from his own experience what his habits were doing to him, he never went public on it, not really. I know that my raising this point of what you wrote in August '95 doesn't diminish one bit the suffering that you indicate our nation had experienced, which led you to your quest for legalization. But it's not as simple as government drug shops. Is it really? I mean, do you see it in this?
Well, I didn't say that was simple. I said that's a way of defeating the black market. The cost of drugs is between 1% and 2%. The pharmaceutical cost of drugs of what you have to pay the man on the street corner. But where Garcia figures in this is that he encouraged a kind of detachment from reality that led a lot of people, like my young friend, to simply suspend his natural, even his cultivated sense of morality and self-restraint. In the same sense that a great courtesan might encourage people to lose restraints. Jerry Garcia encouraged them to lose restraints. The guy who just died, who was famous for saying, turn loose and, what was the rest of that phrase? Choo-choo now. Garcia gave that message, and I was reproving him for doing that. I think it's possible to detach that from the memory of Garcia.
And you think we can separate that message out from now, saying to youngsters, we have legalized. I'm not talking about the beginnings of national policy.
Well, I would certainly discourage anybody from trying to advertise the beauties of drugs. It would be no point saying patronize a federal drugstore and see what thrill you get out of cocaine. As things now stand, we're not permitted to advertise cigarettes on television, so we certainly wouldn't have any First Amendment problems in cranking up a program against advertising drugs.
No, but we haven't as yet said you may not advertise tobacco and nicotine. We talked about a special area, broadcasting. We haven't done that yet.
Right, because of the tobacco lobbies. But if we chose not to do that, question, would it survive a First Amendment test?
Mm-hmm.
I think it probably would. I certainly have no doubt that a prohibition against advertising cocaine would survive a First Amendment. If not, would change the First Amendment.
All right, let me ask you this question. What do you think is going to happen?
I think we need... I'm sorry, I have some trouble here. We need to await the day when a politician with national prestige says, look, this hasn't worked. Now, I don't predict that day is around the corner, but I think there's an increasing natural sense that it hasn't worked. We got an awful lot of mail after that issue went out. 450 letters is a lot of mail for Journal of Opinion. And only 4 or 5% said you shouldn't have even brought the subject up. Although a half were opposed to the conclusions we arrived at, 100% were glad that we've ventilated the controversy. So I think there's a lot of latent feeling out there, and I would like to see the politician who just risks a forward position on it. Mayor Schmoke of Baltimore is the closest, and he was reelected quite thunderously, notwithstanding that he said it just before his last election. So I think I think that there will be a distillation of sentiments that are already empirically widely felt.
Now, if you were in my position, what would you say to Buckley about the potential for damage?
I surrender.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, not if you were in my position. What I asked you about downside before, and now, in a sense, a similar question. What damage do you see that National Review is doing to the war against drugs, which you diminish?
Well, we can hardly damage the war against drugs because the war against drugs is futile. There's no way in which our piece encourages anybody to seek out illegal drugs. The big question before the House in an ideal situation is, to what extent are you willing to employ social sanctions? Now, Nicholas Van Hoffman listed 15 things that he's in favor of legalization, 15 things that he would do to anybody who was caught taking drugs or couldn't prove he hadn't taken drugs. They are really quite draconian. Fire them, take away their driver's license, everything except tattoo them. I think he goes a little bit too far, but he opens up a very interesting window, i.e., what kind of social sanctions have not been harnessed, that might be harnessed to discourage experimentation with drugs.
We're going to do a second program. Let's talk about them, because my signal is we're out of time. Thank you, William Buckley, for joining me today. And thanks, too, to you in the audience. I hope you join us again next time. As an old friend used to say, good night and good luck.